Hi, good evening, everybody.
Kabod Harav, how are you?
Thank God, we're surviving. Wow, surviving.
Oh Hashem.
Okay. All right, here we go. We get started. Okay, so now we're gonna go to wherever we were. Ah, okay, so it looks like we're in Vav. It says it says Vav Bet, basically, right? This is Bet Yosef. Vivarech litatef b'tzitzit. You can see that? Okay, beautiful. So it says like this. Vivarech litatef b'tzitzit. It says, but Tosefta, it says in Tosefta, the brachot, in Masechet Brachot, Perek Pata, in the last perek there, Halacha Tetvav, Ve'ayin b'siman Chav Bet. This is over there, look over there, it says, Ulinyan talit, so it says, regarding talit katan, Katu bekolbo, it says in the kolbo, that's Rishon, Shen mevrachin alav, we don't bless on that, Leitatef b'tzitzit. So what do we bless? Ela al mitzvat tzitzit, right? וגם בנימוקי יוסף, also נימוקי יוסף says, כתוב שנהגו שלא לברך עליו להתעטף. It says also, the minhag is not to say להתעטף, אלא נהגו לברך על מצוות ציצית. על מצוות ציצית. That's exactly what we do today. ואין לבטל המנהג, so he says, don't nullify this custom, no, let's keep it. עד כאן לשונו, okay, that's the end of it. Then he says, רבנו גדול מרי אבוהב, הקשה, so he says, this rabbi asked the question, דחבן דקאי מלן, since we hold the al l'shavar mashma. Oh, so it says the word al, right, means like past tense, you know. The kaimalan, the chol mitzvot mevarech alein over l'setam. But we have to make the bracha before the mitzvah. So why should we bless al, which means like you're doing it after, actually, you know. It implies you're doing it after the mitzvah. Peach ivarech al mitzvah zo. Then how are you going to bless on this mitzvah? Al. How are you going to say the word al, which is future? Chen kataba agur. That's what it says in Agur. B'shem Maharim Mulim. Okay, this name of this rabbi. Shesh mebarachim al talit katan leitatef. So he says some do on talit katan leitatef. V'chen mashma be'orach chaim. That's why it's mashma be'orach chaim. V'en lachush. So he says there's no concern. Im yesh bo ituf. Maybe there is not called ituf. You know the way you put it on. It's not really wrapping. Ki nosach habracha hi. So he says why? Because this language of the blessing. Kimo le'ashev besukkah. It's like sitting in the sukkah, you know. Le'ashev besukkah. Even though we don't really sit sometimes you could be standing, you know, but you still have to bless. The kahana rabot, and this is, there's many like this. So what does that mean? It doesn't have to be dafka, you know, literally taken the blessing, you know, sitting in the sukkah. What difference does it make if you're sitting or standing? I mean, just that's the way the blessing was made, you know. Le'ashev besukkah, you know. So le'ashev, by the way, means to sit, but it also means to dwell. You know, so it has like a multiple kind of thing, you know, multiple meaning. So it says, okay, the Sheba Sukkah, kind of about Mumash Katab B'Shvor Chaim. That's what it says in Or Chaim. Mashma Shemevrachin al Talit Katan Litatef. So there it says we should do a Litatef on Talit Katan. Umam Shkatab B'Samuch. It says that's referring to what we said close by. Sheim Yesh Lo Tzitzit Becheluko. If he has tzitzit in his cloak, whatever it's called, that small thing. Yachol lelobsho miyad. You can read it right away. Vivarech litatef b'tzitzit. It's going to put and it's blessed litatef b'tzitzit. So basically, right, what we're saying is that it's a machloket. You know, some say litatef, some say al mitzvat.
Because anywhere you put it first, right? Then you say the blessing. How we do it?
No, first we do the blessing, right?
The katan,
Yes, it doesn't matter, katan or gadol, it's the same idea.
but in the
I'm
morning,
sorry. Yeah.
if you put it on first, then you go wash, so you can't say the blessing.
Oh, okay, yeah, of course, that's something else. If you're gonna put it on, before you, whatever, or you already have it on, let's say you slept with it, that's a different story already.
Right, Rabbi. I was gonna go to that question. Let's say you wear it 24/7. You switch it every 3 days, for example, from sweat, but you perpetually wear
Okay.
tzitzit. I haven't taken off tzitzit in like 5 years.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I always change them,
In other words, it's
obviously.
always there, it's always there.
Yeah, like no questions asked. Like you
Okay,
sleep
right, I
with
got
it, you
that,
live
I
with
got
it.
that, I
you
got that. So then so if that's the case, the person is sleeping with a tzitzit, which is very commendable, by the way, very good, depending, as we said, depending on your situation. But
Mhm. This is the
anyway,
wife thing, right? The wife thing.
I'm sorry?
You mentioned before, like the wife thing, that there should be skin to skin,
Right,
right?
exactly, yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, so, okay, so basically, right, if you already have it on in the morning, so what's gonna be is, you're gonna bless after you wash your hands.
So you still have to bless for it.
Yeah, actually, we did see an opinion that says you should not bless, if you wear it all
Mhm.
night.
Okay.
But I think the halakha is not like that. We're gonna check that, Bezat Hashem.
Okay. I mean, do you have what to rely
But
on? Or
anyway,
no?
it doesn't really matter anymore. Why? Because since we're gonna put talit gadol, now the custom is to not to bless on talit katan.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Did you know that, by the way?
No, I didn't know that. I mean,
Okay, so yeah, now the custom is not to bless on talit katan.
Mhm.
What we do is we wait till we put the gadol in the shul, and then it covers both of them.
Okay. Thank you.
Still bless yourself. I think you mentioned.
I'm sorry?
You mentioned to me a while ago. that
Yeah,
you're
there is
supposed
one instance that you can bless, which is, let's say you went into the shower in the afternoon. So you're not going to put talit gadol anymore, you know what I mean? So that's already something else. So there, according to the simple halakha, you have to bless on that because you're not going to put talit gadol. You know what I mean?
So if I take it off the shower, I
But the
have to.
rabbi says, Maran, the rabbi says that now the custom is not to bless even there.
Mm.
That's what he says,
Wow.
And he justifies it, and the justification is like this, that, we're concerned that it doesn't have the proper size. So maybe a brachal batala, This is the reason why the custom now became not to bless on talit katan at all. But honestly, I personally, I do bless on it. That's what you're trying to say, right? I do, because I know that I have the size, you know what I mean? So I'm not concerned about that. You know what I mean? In other words, if you really know you have the size, there's no reason to refrain from it. Other rabbi, you're obligated.
Rabbi, what do you mean by have? I'm sorry. What do you mean by have the size?
I'm sorry?
What do you mean by have the
Yeah,
size?
of course, yeah.
Before putting it on.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I'm sorry, were you saying anything?
I'm sorry, Rabbi. What do you mean by have the size?
It has to have a shi'ur. You know what I mean? It's got to be big enough.
So if you're a big guy basically, and you're wearing a big piece of cloth, you should bless.
Yeah.
You're saying.
Yeah, we're gonna get that, by the way, the size, what it has to be, the size, If I remember correctly, it's brought down in the Yalkut Yosef and these books, Halacha Bura. It's like it has to be like 1.9 meters or something like that, in other words,
Okay.
lengthwise. Lengthwise.
Mhm.
Yeah, like on both sides. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Went or
Yeah.
just one end?
If I'm sorry?
One half or the whole thing?
The whole thing. Yeah, the whole thing, like 1.9. If I remember correctly, we'll check that, Bezat Hashem. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
But we also saw another opinion, which was that, if it's big enough to cover a child, his head and the most of his body. But by the way, that may be the same opinion. In other words, it's just a different way of describing it. So we're gonna get to that, over that whole thing. We're almost there. In the wink of an eye, we'll be there. Okay, so anyway, right? We're saying now, so this is the reason why, because a lot of people don't know that there's a minimal size, and we're afraid of that, that they're gonna make a bracha batala. So therefore, the custom became not to bless at all. On Tzitzit Katan.
Rabbi,
Yeah.
but if they don't know the size, they might be just wearing it to sit for nothing. If they're not making the blessing because they're afraid of making it,
Yeah.
then it might be just, it's a waste.
Yeah, but at least they're not doing a sin, you know what I mean? By making a bracha batala, you know what I mean? That's already a sin. So it's already, even worse. So that's the way it is, but if you are sure you have the right size, then you're good, you know? I mean, for sure, like if it covers your body, you know, and, you know, it's fine.
How could, Rabbi, how could be the same size for everybody, 1.9 meters? As someone
Because
big,
as we
someone
said, right, it
small.
goes according to the child size, you know, it doesn't go according to your size. It's a child size. It covers a child, the majority of the child.
But what's child? Which
We're gonna get to that. That's what yeah, we're gonna get to that. I think we're talking about like, you know, like a 12-year-old kid, something like that, you know, like a bar mitzvah boy, you know, small kid, you know, like something. If I remember correctly, I don't remember. I don't recall.
Please, so I'm sorry, to get this straight. Depending on the size of the cloth, depending on your body size, obviously.
Yeah.
Like if you're a bigger guy, you wear a bigger piece of cloth, and if that cloth is enough space to cover a 12-year-old child, you have to bless again.
Yeah, I mean, you know, but as we said, right, the custom now is not to bless. So,
Okay.
you know, go figure.
But Rabbi, you said you bless.
Yeah, because if I know I have the size, you know, I don't have to keep the stupid custom. You know what I mean? You know, what's the point? I'm like, you know, I'm lying to myself. You know what I mean? Like, what am I doing? You know,
I see what you're saying.
this custom is for Amei Aratzot. You understand? Basically, that's what it is. But most people are
Yeah.
Amei Aratzot. What can you do? You know, that's the way it is.
So you just do al mitzvah tzitzit, right? Like every time you. That's how
Yeah,
you do
but
it, right?
I don't do that in the morning. I just, as I said, you know, only like when I go into the shower or something.
Right. Okay.
No,
Perfect.
then
Yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
putting talit
why
anymore
not? Why don't you do it in the morning? It's the right
because you're
size.
covering with talit gadol, so there's no reason for it. You don't need it. You know what I mean?
You still can, right? You can still make it.
You can, yeah, technically you could do it. You could do it. But here's the thing, you know, what you gotta be careful is that if you're making a blessing on both of them, and by the way, the universal custom now is not to do that. You should know, by the way, universally, like nobody does it. In the morning, I'm talking about. You know what I mean? But anyway, the point is, right, that you have to be careful about one thing, that if you're blessing, like you're putting on both of them like at the same time, more or less, without interruption, you know? Then it could be bracha batala.
If you're in the same house.
You're exactly, yeah, in the same room. Yeah.
That's a problem.
You gotta be careful about that.
But Ashkenazim, I think Ashkenazim do it, right?
What did they? I think
They
even
bless.
they don't bless in the morning on the Talit Katan. If I'm not mistaken, it's become like a universal custom already. You know, yeah, if I'm not mistaken. So even I follow that. You know, like I don't want to be too weird.
But what, Rabbi,
Okay.
when we look at the Tzitzit,
Oh.
I'm sorry?
do that mitzvah of actually looking at them.
Yeah.
Because
So
that-
the
that-
Arizal says you cover that when you put it on. You know, you look at it when you put it on. That's when you fulfill that mitzvah.
You don't say the blessing when you look at it?
What does that have to do with blessing?
Separate.
I'm saying you're looking at it. You're doing the mitzvah, looking at the tzitzit. And you're also blessing on it. Those two different things.
So there could be an interruption between those two, a big one.
No, actually, I mean, usually it's not. I mean, you know, you're looking at it when you put it on. When you're putting it on, you're looking at it. So how's it going to be interruption?
No, I mean, the Tzitzit Katan.
Yeah.
You look at it, you put it in, then you go to the shul.
Okay.
You put in the,
Talit Gadol.
Gadol. Then you say the bracha and exempting the Talit Katan.
Yes.
So you didn't say the bracha on the Katan,
Right.
but you looked at the Tzitzit, right?
Yeah, when you put it on, you looked at it, obviously.
No bracha.
Right.
That's fine.
Right. What do you call it? Also, you know, like the way I do, you know, is like that. I go to shul with the talit and tefillin, you know. So I don't put the talit in the shul. You know what I mean? No such a thing like that with me. I put the talit at home. So I don't need to make two brachot. You know what I'm saying? It's just not necessary. You know what I mean?
And the tefillin,
I'm sorry.
you put the tefillin in.
Yeah, this is the proper way according to the Zohar Kadosh. Also according to Shulchan Aruch, this is it's proper to do that.
To come to shul,
to walk to the shul with the tefillin on.
right? To be bound. Yes. Okay.
This is a big thing according to Zohar. You know, it's a big game. It's a big deal.
Yeah, I find that to be a common thing. I mean, with me at least.
Right.
I just put it
one
on, get in my
Chacham,
car,
who didn't want to do it this way. This was Rabbi Tzion Abba Shaul, you know, he didn't want to walk with the tefillin to the shul. So they asked him, they said, why don't you walk with the tefillin to the shul? What happened to you? What, you're not a Zohar guy? So he answered, he says, you know, I'm afraid there's pritzut, there's some ladies and I'm going to see, you know, not dressed properly. He says, I don't want to look at them with my tefillin. This is the thing, you know. The truth is that I'm not really concerned about that because when you come out, you know, 6:30 in the morning, there's not really much pritzut going on.
I mean, you're not even thinking about that. Like, you
Yeah,
have
I
to be in a
mean, yeah,
certain
yeah.
mindset, you know, to like
Yeah,
look
you know,
at that.
whatever. But he had his own, you know, approach to these things, the Chacham Ben Zion, you know.
I see.
Maran, I never saw him coming into the shul without tefillin and talit, but he lived in the same building though, I mean, it's a little bit different, but
Right.
he lived upstairs, so that was a little bit different. But the truth is, before he built the shul in his building, he used to come to Yechabadat, in Arkola, he used to pray over there, 6:30. So, he always came in with talit and tefillin. If I remember correctly, we never saw him coming without talit and tefillin. This was always. So there was a machloket about that, but according to the simple, understanding of things, you really should come that way. But it's not for the shish kebab guys. You know what I mean? Not for those guys. That's for sure. It's not for people like that. It's for somebody with some reach of Torah, so he smells a little bit like Torah. You know what I mean?
Rabbi, basically, I'm sorry, what you're saying is basically show up, wake up in the morning, do what you got to do, korbanot everything, put the tefillin talit, and then come ready for hodu, right, into shul.
That's what the rabbi used to do. He used to come, when he used to come in, they would do the kaddish and start hodu. It doesn't mean you can't come earlier than
Perfect.
that.
That's like a 10-minute.
That's what he did. You can come earlier also if you want.
He never did Petach Eliyahu and stuff like that?
I'm sorry?
They never did Petach Eliyahu?
What, you're asking in the morning?
Yeah. Like the rabbi, did he do it?
So what? Some people do that?
Yeah, some people do that in the morning. Baharians do it.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. This was not the rabbi's style, Patach Eliyahu, you know what I mean?
Okay.
This is for Amiratzot who never learn, and they have they read some Zohar, so, they're Yotzei learning. The rabbi's learning 24 hours a day, he needs Patach Eliyahu.
Right. I see what you're saying. Okay, thank you.
So, it's not relevant, it's not relevant
Yeah.
for something like that.
I mean, you mentioned he would learn before prayers, so.
Yeah, he would learn, I'm talking deep into learning.
Yeah, for a few
2-3
hours.
hours, heavy duty stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, God bless. All right, so anyway, getting back to our issue, right? We're going to Shulchan Aruch, Vav. Shulchan Aruch, Vav. Okay. Okay, maybe we have it up. Let me see if I have it up. I do. Okay. Yeah.
After Shkia, you can take a shot bless or
Yeah. So he's asking if you can bless after sunset for the tzitzit. The truth is that it doesn't matter whether it's tzitzit or tefillin or anything. After Shkia you can still bless until Tzedek Kochavim. This is the rule. Because the halacha is it's not really night yet. After Shkia, the halacha is still day.
18 minutes, right?
13 and a half minutes. That's for sure. Yeah. Okay, later. Okay. So, okay, good. So, okay, but still, I see in the Shulchan Aruch that we skipped something here. Let's go back to Bit Yosef one second. Are we supposed to be doing Vav now, Shulchan Aruch?
Mm-hmm.
Right, so the problem is we skipped Hey. Okay, so we'll do Shulchan Aruch Vav and we'll go back to Hey. No big deal. No loss. We started, but we didn't really do it because we didn't cover it yet. The Big Yosef we didn't do yet. So we'll try to do that one more time. Okay, so we're gonna do Vav. So it says in Vav, Talit Katan Yachol Avarech Litatef. So it says Talit Katan, you can bless Litatef, right? Even though he's not really wrapping, but just wearing it, So says the Rama, Hagar, yesh mevarchin alav al mitzvah tzitzit, ve'chen nohagim. So he says, the minhag is not to do al mitzvah tzitzit. V'nashanot says, don't change that. So the truth is, this minhag caught on with everybody now. But as we said, right now they don't bless nothing. So this is the new minhag. Right? The minhag keeps changing all the time. Okay. So that's, you see that what I just read? The Vav? Okay, so now we'll go back to Hey. The Beit Yosef first. And then we'll do Shulchan Aruch. Because we didn't do Beit Yosef Hey. You're saying what? It's a small one?
I see one sentence only.
Okay, 1 second. Let me see that. I don't see it at all, actually. You have, where is it? What's the location? You don't have to show me there. Just tell me, like, what is it before something or after something? Before that, okay, okay. You don't have to show me, it's okay. How does it start? Okay. So it's before Vav Bet?
Yes,
Okay,
right above.
right above. How does it start again? Yivarech. 1 second. But that we already did.
Ah.
Tosefta.
Right.
So that was Hey?
Yeah.
But it seems like we missed something here because it's talking about something else in the Shulchan Aruch. Let me check it out for a second. It seems like we skipped something or whatever. Oh, we didn't, maybe it's later on. Seems like it's down there somewhere. Scrolling down all the way to see if it's down there. I don't see it at all. Let me just check where that is by you, because maybe I'm not looking in the right place. I don't know. Where is it? Should you show me? Oh. Yeah, no, yeah, we read that already. So I guess he's taking it from somewhere else. I don't know where it's coming from, but anyway, we'll read it. I really don't know where the source is. Yeah. So let's read that. Okay, so it says like this. Mevarech litatef b'tzitzit. You have to bless litatef b'tzitzit. If it's 2 people or 3 people, right, wrapping themselves with talit, echad, like one. By the way, there was such thing in the past that they used to take like one big one and wrap like a few people. Nobody does that today. I'm sorry, no, he's not talking about that. I'm sorry, Mechila. What he's talking about here is that they're doing it at the same time. So ke'echad, b'pam echad, right? So they all bless. So in other words, it's not like one should bless for everybody. But each one has to bless by himself. So now he says, but if they want, one can bless and the other ones can answer amen. So they can do either way, right? One is that each one blesses by himself, or one blesses for everybody. What's the reason for that? Because they're all doing it at the same time. Okay, even though we didn't see this in Bet Yosef, but I don't know what to tell you. I guess we'll find it somehow. Somewhere. Okay, whatever it is. Let's go to Zion, yeah. Right, so you see Zion, Bet Yosef? And he creates Tzitzit, that's how it starts.
Mhm.
And he creates Tzitzit al Shem ha'chutin hanifradim mimena. So it says it's called Tzitzit because of the strings that are separating from it, coming out from it. So therefore, it says the Torah, you have to divide them up from each other. In other words, separate them. Not divide them, separate them. It says in Perek Techelet Menachot, Mem Bet Amud Aleph, Tanu Rabbanan. It says, right, rabbis taught, Tzitzit and Tzitzit ela anaf. So there it says, right, Tzitzit means anaf, right, which means like a branch. Lechen hu omer Yecheskel. It says also, it says Yecheskel, the prophet, Ve'kacheni b'tzitzit roshi. He took me with the strands of my hair. Amar Abaye, right, so v'tzarich lifroda ki tzutzita de'aramee. Oh. So Abaye says you have to divide them like the Arameans. So explains Rashi, Peresh Rashi, keblurit shel goim, the bukot milamata ufrudot milamala. So he says it's like, you know, the hairstyle of the goim. So what does that mean? In those days, maybe, I don't know nowadays what the hairstyle is. But anyway, right, that above it's touching, and below it's separate. Right? So it's like, you know, got that thing going on. You know, the hairstyles, you know, like the ladies do. Separating it, you know, like it droops down, separated. You know, that kind of stuff. The cool guys. Okay, so Shad's looking for that. That's what he's talking about. Kiblurit shel goyim devukot belbadam. Katuv beitur. So it says in Itur, Bildan tchelet kamar. Oh, lafit tchelet etzad echad ve'afed. So he says he was talking about in those days when we had tchelet, you know. So then you have to separate the tchelet to one side, right? And ve'afed ledakdek ve'lasot zecher letchelet. So he says, now we're just doing a zecher. What does that mean? Like, even though we don't have it, like we're pretending that we do. In other words, we're separating it. Like as if we had it.
The long string?
But the real thing was to separate the tchelet. Why is that, by the way? Because the tchelet is a separate mitzvah. Two different mitzvot, you know? The white is one mitzvah, the tchelet is a separate mitzvah.
Having one tail string.
Right. Their own separate mitzvah. Okay, very good. So let's see the Shulchan Aruch on Zion.
Is there a blessing for the tail?
No, it's one blessing for it. But it's a separate mitzvah though. Okay, so it says, right, tzarich le'afrid chutei tzitzit, right, as we said, you got to separate the tzitzit. Okay, so what does that mean? That they shouldn't be entangled, you know what I mean? That's what I mean. You don't want to use entangled tzitzit. It happens to me all the time, you know, when I take it to the dry cleaner, it comes back entangled, you know, I hate that. So I got to separate it, you know, like, it's really, you know, they mutilate the tzitzit, you know, these dry cleaners.
I like the hand wash. Like,
Ah,
even
God
though
bless
you
you.
put it in the
God bless you.
in the machine,
Okay,
it's done.
right, but you know what it is? When you put it into if it's wool anyway, right? If it's wool, when you put it into the machine, it turns yellow if you're using hot water. Did you ever notice that?
I tried once.
Yeah.
And,
Are you using cotton? We're gonna see, by the way, later on, the cotton is not really the best way to do the mitzvah. Why is that?
Truth is that, Rabbi.
According to Maran, it's only the Rabbanan cotton. It's not from the Torah. So if you want to do the mitzvah from the Torah, you got to use wool or linen. What do you say, Nisim?
I use a linen one, but it's like mesh material.
Ooh, where'd you
Very
find
nice.
that? Where'd you find that?
I'll show you online. I bought it from Israel.
Oh my God.
Basically, it's like a mesh. It's very nice because it breathes. You know, you don't feel anything. It's like
Okay.
it's like you don't feel it. It's great.
This is interesting. It's linen, huh?
Yes, it's linen and
Wow.
it's mesh. Yeah.
Wow, that's something I never heard about. Never heard about. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
recently I never saw something like that.
I'll try to find a link and send it to you.
Interesting,
just for
interesting.
reference. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, very nice.
Very nice.
wool
Yep.
and thumb, Rabbi.
Yeah, but it's thin, so it doesn't really.
It's itchy.
And then you gotta put undershirt under it. You gotta put,
Oh, 2 layers in the sun. Wow.
yeah. The truth is, that according to the proper custom, not halakha, but you should really put an undershirt under the tzitzit. Why is that? Because otherwise the sweat, like saturates it. So it's not so good, not so much kavod.
The mesh, that's the thing
Okay,
about the mesh. I
we're
feel
gonna
like
get that. We're gonna get to all that stuff. I'm sorry, what were you saying?
with the mesh, you don't have to worry about that as much, I feel, because it's just
Yeah,
like
could be, yeah, I see what you mean.
it breathes. I don't
Right,
wear an
breathes, yeah.
undershirt under it, but yeah.
Rabbi,
Uh-huh.
what about the kavod, right? Isn't the mitzvah of tzitzit for you to remember the mitzvah, to be aware of them? It's not so much for the,
Right.
it's not the garment itself is holy. It's for you to be.
No,
holy.
it's not a holy garment, but it's like just since it's a mitzvah,
Right.
so to treat it with a little bit of respect, you know what I mean? Like in other words, but you're right, it's not really halakha. But the truth is that in Ashkenazi circles, they're very makpid about that, like they don't tolerate that. They don't let a child like put tzitzit without a t-shirt. They won't let them do that.
You go to the bathroom, it
Yeah.
touches the, the toilet seat and everything.
Right.
I saw a plumber was he's moving the dunk and he's wearing the tzitzit,
Yeah.
he's touching everything,
Mhm.
and where's the kavod in that?
So then what do you suggest? I mean, in other words, what's the solution?
No, I mean it's for you. It's but it doesn't matter if it gets dirty. You wash it.
Yeah, of
Right,
course.
take it off.
Yeah, it's true, but like in other words, the sweat will like ruin pretty fast. In other words,
Hmm.
it's like really quick. It's a quick job. I can't tell you. But it's not really halakha. It doesn't say in the halakha like that. It doesn't say. It's just the proper behavior, proper conduct, whatever. I can't tell you. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, right. We'll get to all that stuff. We'll talk about those things in the future. Okay. So anyway, let's go on. So we're done with Zion. Let's separate them. Make sure they're not tangled. Good. Okay, good. So now we're going to go to Het. This one is a short one. It says Maran over here. With Yosef, you have to have kavanah when you wrap it. Pashutu, right? It says Maran's pashut. In other words, it's pashut that this is what you should have the kavanah. Let's see the Shulchan Aruch, right? And we'll see. Remember what the kavanah is, which was written in the Torah. I'm sure he brings it again over here. It says the Shulchan Aruch like this in Het. When it says you should have a kavanah, and he wraps it. That Hashem commanded us to wrap it on our body. To wear it, whatever. In order that we should remember all his mitzvot, the last time to do them. So in other words, when you see the tzitzit, it reminds you to do the mitzvot. That's what it means. Good. Okay, good. Very nice. Right. So remember the mitzvot. Yeah, it's a good thing to good thing. It's a good kavanah. Very simple, good kavanah. Okay. Let's go to Tet. At Yosef. So it says, "V'ayin et tzitzit kodem lachen." Kodem lachen sheyu shlemim. By the way, in this siman, did we finish the tour already? We finished everything? Uh-huh. Let me just check that, make sure, because I don't remember reading this in the Torah. I'm just going to check it out for a second. Was this in the tour at all? I don't remember this in the tour at all.
Here's this one.
How you do? What does it say?
16.
The ayin? Like that? That's how it starts?
Mhm.
Where's it? In the end? Thank you. Okay. That's not in the end. Okay. It's like in the middle. Oh. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna read that one more time because I don't remember seeing it until it's a long one. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. So it says like this. You got the place, Yitzchak?
Mhm.
V'ayin atzitzit kodem lachen sheyu shlemim. You should look in the tzitzit before you put it on to make sure it's complete. I think we did read it, but anyway, it's good to review. Shem mitkalkel echad mehem, because if one of them got messed up, yeah, I remember. Hu bracha levatala. If one of them is messed up, it's bracha levatala. So what does that mean? You have to check that the tzitzit were not unraveled. That's what it means. You know what I mean?
Not ripped, just if they're
Not
mixed together.
unraveled, you know, like opened up. Once it opens up, it's not kosher anymore. You know what I mean? Like the knots and this, you know, all that stuff opens up. It's not kosher. You know what I mean? You got to make sure it's tied good.
What about the last knot?
What about it?
There are two knots, right, at the end.
Yeah, every knot is a double knot. Every one of them is double.
If one is open, the last one.
Yeah, it's still kosher, but you should tie it though.
The last
no.
one is okay.
Yeah, it's not okay, but it's kosher. You know what I mean? But you really should tie it though. You know, in other words, whenever you get a chance, you know, tie it, do the second one. Yeah, because that's where it's like. So you know what it is? Some of the tzitzit is the oraita, and some of it is the rabbanan. The rabbis added more. We're gonna see that right later on. You know, so there's all kinds of things going on there. We're gonna talk about that. So right, but anyway, the point is like this, right? That make sure that they're not unraveled.
What about
Yeah,
the coating?
yeah.
There's so
I'm
many,
sorry.
The different types to do it, the coating.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that too, B'ezras Hashem. That's a whole discussion in itself. You know, there's the Sephardi way, there's the Ashkenazi way, there's the Temani way. There's all kinds of things. You know, all kinds of issues there. Yeah, all kinds of stuff going on. Okay, so right. So so okay, I guess we won't read this now because I think we finished everything as well. So we'll go to Shulchan Aruch.
Bet Yosef or
Shulchan Aruch. I'm sorry. Yeah, Bet Yosef. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry, Mechila. Let's see, Bet Yosef. Tet, right?
Mhm.
So it says over there, "V'ayin tzitzit kodem lachen, shiyu shlemim." Make sure that it's complete. Ken katava rosh. That's what the Rosh says. Besof hilchot tzitzit over there, in the end of hilchot tzitzit, dinei asiyat tzitzit. V'zeh leshano. This is the language of the Rosh. Ve'achared al davar Hashem. So he says the one who's really God fearing, you know, yivdok tzitzit kodem atifa. You should check the tzitzit before you wear it. In order that it shouldn't be bracha levatala. So if it's unraveled, as we said, right, it's bracha levatala. That's what it means to say. Even though it says man, they wrote in Tshuva klal bet, the Rosh, Siman Tet, Sha'olam lo nahagu livdok. He says people, the minhag is not to check it. Right? By the way, today also most people don't check it. I have to tell you the truth. You know?
I've been using my
Yeah.
Talit Kator, or I know, maybe a month.
Right.
With ripped from the garment. One of them says it's ripped from the garment.
Ooh. Okay, yeah, you have to show me that.
I started checking right after.
Okay, all right. Wow.
Completely
Yeah.
ripped.
Completely ripped off.
One of the strings.
So did you put you put a new one? What, new talit altogether?
I needed a bigger one.
Right, I understand. Good opportunity to refresh the supply. Yeah, of course. Right. So anyway, as we said, right, that so it says, so the Rosh says, as we said, the custom is not to check it. So it says, every time you put it on, you know why? Because they have chazakah. In other words, it's assumed to be kosher because that's the way you left it. When you leave something kosher, you don't assume that it now became non-kosher. So this is like a halakhic principle, chazakah. Once it's presumed to be kosher because that's the way it was yesterday. Like a mikveh, for instance, right? If the mikveh was kosher yesterday, it's also kosher today. We don't assume that now it's lacking water. You know what I mean? Same idea. So okay, same thing with many of the mitzvot. Same idea. So anyway, it says that כתב רבנו כדבריו בפסקים שאחרי על דבר השם יש לו לבדוק. But he says, right, but in Psakim, he said the one who's chared, you know what that means? He's haredi, like God-fearing, he trembles with fear from God. Chared, that's what it means, chared, to be tremble. Right? So if you're like that, you should check it all the time, every time. That's the idea, Okay, very good. That's right. So now we're going to see what he says in the Shulchan Aruch. He usually uses a much more simple language. But here in the Bet Yosef, you really see, this is the thing, when you don't see the Bet Yosef and you just look in the Shulchan Aruch, you don't really see the depths of the halakha.
Right.
You know what I mean? Here you see everything. It's a chumrah, it's this, it's that. In the Shulchan Aruch, you're not going to see all that. You know what I mean? So, especially if you look at those Kitzer books, which is even worse, by the way, you don't see nothing there. It's like you're a blind man, groping in the darkness, That's what it is, basically. I mean, those Kitzer books.
Rabbi, you accepted all the chumrot, right?
I'm sorry? Yeah, okay. Even sometimes it's not even chumrot. Sometimes just ridiculous stuff. All kinds of nonsense going on. You never know what's going on there. I mean, the truth is that each author is a respectable person. I'm sure. Respectable rabbi, and they know what they're doing. But some of them are not so big. Like they're not so great. They're whatever. They're not like Posek Hador. Like people who write these Kitzer books. So you gotta take it with a grain of salt, basically. Right? That's what it is. But what I'm saying is that also, it's not good to use that as a source, for your halakha, a real, it's not the place to go. Okay, so anyway, right, the Gaon Mivina also says that when you learn Kitzer books, you tend to forget, like comes in here, goes out there. Because you learned it so easy, it doesn't stick in the head. When you learn about Yosef, you tend to remember, because it gives you like a format, this side, that top, bottom,
Right.
like flank, all kinds of stuff, right? That helps you to remember the halakha. Okay, so that's the way it goes. So okay, very good. So we're going to go to Shulchan Aruch, see what's going on there. So this is already Tet. So Tet in the Shulchan Aruch, if you see where that is, Yitzchak, got it. It says Kodem Shevarech Yayan Be'achut Tzitzit. It says before he blesses, let him look at the strings. Im hem ksherim, they're kosher, right? Not unraveled or not cut down, whatever, right? All kinds of things. There are rules, by the way, how much has to be cut down to become not kosher. There are rules about that. We're going to learn that. We'll get into it later. Depends on how much is left over, all kinds of things. Right? What's the point? Because it shouldn't be a blessing in vain. In other words, the tzitzit should be kosher. Okay, very good. So we have how much time? We can do a few more. Yeah, no problem. Okay, so let's go on to Yud. So now we're doing Yud Aleph, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it says, one second. Right. The truth is, there's more Bet Yosef that we didn't read. In the last one, in the Tet. There's like a continuation there. Look where Tet starts, and then you see, right? There's like a second section. It says Umash Katav. Right, you see that?
Yeah.
So it says, "Umash katav shemit kalkel echad mehem." That what she wrote the Torah, that if one of them got messed up, right? Hu bracha v'tala, it's a blessing in vain. Hainu lomar, that means to say, shemit kalkel tzitzit shel echad me'kanfot. So it means to say that if the tzitzit on one of the corners got messed up, even though the other three are good, like your case, right? Same thing. It's a blessing in vain. That's what it means to say. Right? Enameh, right? Or alternatively, it says, it's talking about a string, one string. Even that could be also a problem. Right? This means say, even if one string got messed up, like Klomar means to say, it got totally like cut off, like till the roots, till the knot. That's not kosher anymore. Sometimes we're gonna get that. I'm sorry.
Like like here, right?
I can't see the chairs blocking.
Like right
Yeah.
over here. One of them is flipped.
One of the tzitzit.
Right, that's holding up to the garment.
So what it just got cut?
Yes, it's cut.
Ooh.
That was on Talit Geba.
Oh, that's what happened. Not here.
Yeah.
I got it.
One.
Yeah, that's a problem. Yeah,
That's it, right?
yeah, it's a problem. No question about it. So we're gonna get to that, but Bezat Hashem. The Imam said it. So it says. So we're gonna say it says we're gonna in Siman Yud Bet we're gonna explain details about this, right? When it becomes not kosher, what renders it not kosher, blah blah blah. Okay, very good. So that's the end of the Bet Yosef. We just didn't get we skipped that part. So now I'm gonna go next Bet Yosef, which is right Yud Aleph, right? Yud Aleph, right after. So it says if he wants to put it on right away when he gets up. Or he has tzitzit in his vest, whatever his thing is wearing, the t-shirt, whatever. Can wear it right away below bracha without bracha. So that's exactly what you asked, right? One of you asked. Why? Because since his hands are dirty now, right? He's not clean yet. He can't really bless. So therefore, what he does is he just leaves it on or puts it on, whatever, and then he blesses later after he washes his hands. Okay, so then it says so he says when he washes his hands, you should feel the tzitzit to be and bless on it. Right. That's what it says in Tosfot. Perek HaKometz Rabbah over there in this perek in Menachot Lamed Vav Amud Aleph. Uberesh perek Haya Koreh, and also in this perek. Which we said there, Hatam over there, the Rab Manach Tefillin Matzle, that Rab would put Tefillin and pray. Also, they wrote this. Bessof Hilchot Tzitzit, and the Hilchot Tzitzit, Beshem Maram, or name Maram, the Tama Mishum de Alfinan mit Tefillin. So it says the reason is because we learn from Tefillin. Sheim Hayam Mashkim, that said the Derech, if he was going early somewhere, on the road, Shema Yavdu, so maybe they're going to get lost, his Tefillin or whatever. So manichan, he puts his tefillin, and when the time comes, right, for the tefillin. In other words, now it's too early because it's night. Then he's going to touch them, feel them and bless on them. Like it says over there, this perek Rabbah. Rashi explains, says when you touch them, like feel them, grope them, it's like you're putting them on now, Even though we hold Psachim Zayin Amud Bet, you have to bless before you put it on. So what about now? Right, we're doing it after because you can't bless before, right? There's no choice. Katav Rabbeinu Yonah. So it says Rabbeinu Yonah the Pek Tfilat HaShachar over there. Brachot Chaf Amud Bet. Gabet Tfilat HaDerech regarding Tfilat HaDerech, right, going on the road. Shemiachar Shekol Zman Shetzitzit Tefillin Hem Alav, since all the while, right, that he's traveling, whatever, the tzitzit is on him and tefillin, right? He's doing the mitzvah, even though he didn't bless yet. In other words, the blessing doesn't hold back the mitzvah. Just because you didn't bless doesn't mean you're not doing the mitzvah right now. You are. You know what I mean? And just the blessing will come later. Because the blessing is only from the rabbis, The mitzvah itself is from the Torah. So the blessing will never hold back the mitzvah. You know what I mean? It's just like it's an accompaniment to the mitzvah. It's not critical. You know what I mean? שאינו עובר לעשייתן. מה שעבר, כל מקום הווה עובר לעשייתן, מה שמקיים אחר כך. So it says, in any case, it's going to be like, in other words, what he does is that by groping it like that, it's going to be like considered like he did it before. Okay, so let's see the Shulchan Aruch on that. Yud Aleph. Yud, I'm sorry, Yud. Shulchan Aruch Yud. Okay, so it says like this: Im lovesh talit katan. If he's wearing talit katan, the od she'en yadav nekiot, while his hands are not dirty, right? This is what you asked about, Nisim. So it says,
Listening, Rabbi.
"Below bracha." What do? Put it on without bracha. And then when he washes his hands, he mashmesh b'tzitzit. Then he's going to grope the tzitzit, v'yivarech alav, and bless on it. Or k'shilbash talit acher. Or if he's going to, like, this is what we do, right? Now, if he puts a talit, another talit, yivarech alav, he's going to bless on that talit. He's going to have in mind this one also. Have in mind both of them. That's what we do with the talit gadol. Then tzarich lemashmesh b'tzitziot. So he says, you don't have to really feel the tzitziot, grope the tzitziot below bracha without blessing. When he washes his hands, then he's going to grope them. And bless on it. Or he's going to wear a different talit. Then he's going to bless on it. I'm sorry, I skipped something. You don't have to feel the tzitziot of the Shel Rishon. You don't have to feel the tzitziot of the first one. I messed it up. Okay, so that's the idea, right? So only the second one you have to, because now you put on new talit, so you don't need any more of that. You're not bound to that anymore. Okay, so basically that's the way it is, right? When you're doing this kind of thing, that you want to put the talit katan before you wash your hands. Okay, good. How much time do we have? Okay, we could do one more maybe. Okay, so we're gonna go to right. Bet Yosef Yud Aleph. You see where that is? Mitoch ma shamar. From what said Rabbeinu, right? The tour. Or sheyesh dom tzitzit bechalko. That he has tzitzit in his t-shirt, whatever it is. Ninesh derech talit katan lovshot tachat b'gadav. So now we're gonna get to the famous question, right? He says it seems from there that the way to do talit katan is to put it under your clothing, right? Not over, like the Hasidim they do, they put it over. You know what I mean? All the Hasidim they do that. It's a custom. But what he said in Siman Chav Daled, chapter 24, the whole thing is to remember the mitzvah, so you got to see it. So then, what does it help you to put it under your clothing? That's the question, right? Famous question. So it says you have to do that all the time to remember the mitzvot. So it says, therefore, the proper way to do is on top of his bigadim, right? It says Maran. In order that you should always see it, to remember the mitzvot. That's what it said in Yosef, right? So this is the way the Maran Paskins in the Bet Yosef here. And so then why don't we do like that? Because we go according to Kabbalah. So according to Kabbalah, the talit is supposed to be under everything, under and hidden, right? There's all kinds of things going on with that. The Arizal talks about it. There's also, I heard one Rishon that also paskins this way, the Balai Tur, that he also says it should be under. But anyway, right, the point is, right, that's our custom. The Ashkenazim do like Maran here. This is right, this is the switch over here, They do like Maran and we don't do like Maran. You know what I mean? There's always things like this, switch hitter, going on. So that's the way it goes. Okay, let's see the Shulchan Aruch on that. Right, actually, before we get to Shulchan Aruch, just look at the next piece in Bet Yosef, small piece. We should read that too. Yud Bet, right? That one.
Yud Bet and Yud Gesiro.
There's two of them. And I'm not talking about Yud Bet. I'm talking about Yud Bet parentheses. Right after what we just read. Mash Katav, you see that?
Yep.
Mash Katav, we got to read that one. Mash Katav, and that what she said, Im itatef achakach b'talit ched. And if he's going to wear another talit afterwards, Yivarech aliyah, he should have intent, bless on that. And he should have in mind the one he's going to put before. right? That's what we do, by the way, as we said, right? So we don't bless on Talit Katan in the morning. This is the reason why we don't do it. So we're going to explain that later on. This whole thing, right? This whole concept. Okay, very good. So now we're going to see Shulchan Aruch, and we'll stop it there. Shulchan Aruch Yud Aleph. You see it? Yud Aleph, next one.
Sorry.
Got it?
Yeah.
So it says Ikar mitzvah talit katan. So it says the main point of talit katan, to wear on top of your clothing, right? Why you should always see it. And remember the mitzvot, right? So the Arizal says regarding that, he answers like this. He says that you remember when you put it on. That's when you see the mitzvot. That's when you uphold that. So that's the way we do today. By the way, I'll tell you guys an interesting story. That as we said, right, the mitzvah, the minhag of the Sfardim is to put under, even the tzitzit itself. Not only talit, even tzitzit inside. So this has been like a Sephardi custom for many generations already. Okay, so there were some new fashion guys, in Israel. Also here in America, you'll find some people like this. They go, like Sephardi guys, go to Ashkenazi yeshivot, and they start to wear them out. So the question is, can they do that? Are they allowed to do that? So forth, so on. So the truth is, that many Chachamim, were saying, even Maran himself, he says, when you do it like this, you don't believe in the minhag of your forefathers, and you start to do like somebody else. It's like you're disgracing your elders. In other words, the ones that gave us our Sephardi customs. You think, those guys don't know what they're talking about. Well, we know. Yeah, we know. So there, a lot of people didn't like this whole thing that these boys were wearing, tzitzit outside. But then what happened was, like later on, like about 15 years ago, Rabbi Yosef, who was the son of the rabbi, he's a chief rabbi now. He came out and said, something. The rabbi didn't say this, by the way, himself. He had his son do it. There's probably a reason for that. There's always all politics, going on there. You have to understand. But this is kosher politics, not the non-kosher politics that goes on inside there. And I'm not talking about that. So, right. So what we're talking about is here like this, right? That Rabbi Yosef came out and said like this. He said, "Oh, you know what? You can, those boys who are going to Ashkenazi yeshivot or whatever, and they feel, like they're Baal Tshuva, they feel like they're getting chizuk, they're getting strengthened, by wearing the tzitzit outside, that makes them stronger, in religion, whatever. So, hi, how are you? Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Oh, have a seat. So we're just finishing up.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I came late.
Okay. Better late than never.
Something juicy at the end of this. Right?
Okay, so right, as we said, right, that Rabbi Yosef came out and said those boys, who they get chizuk from wearing it outside. He says they can wear it, it helps them in their Baal Tshuva, blah blah blah. So he publicized this, he published some things about this. So, but he did say, by the way, that when they get married, then they should go back inside. In other words, they only have a few limited time in order to get chizuk from wearing it outside, Baal Tshuva, whatever. So, but the rabbi never said this himself. So why is it? Well, he didn't know Rabbi Yitzchak said this, but he probably had him do it. Why? Because he didn't want to be the one to say that, because it looks like, like not genuine, like, because he was the one who was against it. You know what I mean? And now he's coming out saying, "Oh, it's okay, don't worry, everything's okay." So that's why, I remember one of our friends, who converted by us, Nisim was always there, right, with the conversions. So what do you call it?
That's right, baby.
He asked me, he converted Sephardi. So he told me, he says, should I wear the tzitzit outside or inside, So I told him, I said, the Sephardim wear it inside, But I said, if it makes you stronger, whatever, it makes you feel like you belong to your community more, whatever. So I said, you can do it for a while. But I said, really, the truth is, that, you have to, the custom of the Sephardim is to wear it inside. And that's not going to change.
Rabbi, when they convert, they choose this Ashkenazi Sephardi.
Yeah, they have to choose one thing or the other. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
One second, Mechila, just 1 second. I'm going to stop this. Have a good night, everybody. Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining us. One second, גברת, מחילה. בואי, אל תצעמי. One second.